Tom Deal, we have been working on early intervention for children with autism spectrum disorders as well as other related developmental disabilities for the last 15 years or so. The prerequisite learning skills are the foundational skills for learning of skills in all domains. These prerequisite learning skills include what is known as eye contact, that is looking at the eyes of an individual, following the gaze of an individual, looking at objects together, sharing them, talking about them, paying attention, joint attention with another person, complying to instructions, making verbalizations, different kinds of intonations that are used. All of these are prerequisite learning skills which are seen in a child younger than 1 year old. Beginning within a few months, the child acquires these skills, and unless these are in place, the other skills don't come up. We do know that in the literature that children with autism spectrum disorders do not make eye contact, or they do not follow the gaze of another person. They are unable to attend to things jointly. So while these are recognized as symptoms of autism, seldom do we really address them. This video, we would like to emphasize the importance of these aspects of development in children, as well as the need to address them directly, because unless these are in place, the overall development will get affected.
Eye contact. Babies as young as 4 months will establish eye contact and smile when looking at a familiar adult. By 6 to 7 months, they sustain eye contact for much longer. Observe baby Fiona. Establishing eye contact from a distance, Fiona is able to interact with her grandmother, who is sitting far away. It is important that the baby looks at you when you interact with her. Looking helps the baby to develop many skills, such as
Fiona.
understanding others. 80% of all human communication is non-verbal. We communicate a lot through gestures, our tone of voice, expressions, the look in our eyes. It is therefore important that the baby looks at you when you are interacting. Watching her mother's expression, the baby knows that something is not right. Eye contact also helps babies to learn by copying others. Look at the little girl watching her mother's lip movements carefully. An important skill that lays the foundation for speech. Response to name call is an important PLS skill, where the baby turns in response to the name being called. Not responding to name call makes it difficult for adults to call babies away from what they are doing. Poor response to name will also affect peer interactions, as children will not be aware that someone is talking to them. Gaze shifts. By 4 months, babies are able to move their heads to track familiar people and objects that are at a distance in front of them. As they grow older, they are able to use just their eyes in order to track. By 6 to 7 months, they can track objects and people at a distance. This helps them to understand the world around them a lot more. Gaze shifts also help in developing an understanding of cause and effect. Watch the baby playing with the ball, tracking it as he pushes it, making the connection between the push and the movement of the ball. Gaze shifts are important for the development of joint attention. Joint attention. being able to look at the same object simultaneously, beginning of an intent to share an object of interest with another person. This is a critical pre-learning skill which allows babies to share their interest with another person. The highest form of joint attention, which develops around 12 to 13 months, is when the baby points at something and then looks at the parents as if to check if the parent is also sharing her interest. Attention. At 4 months, babies begin to focus attention on brightly colored objects and sound-making toys for a few seconds. This forms the beginning of exploratory play. At 6 to 7 months, as babies get more mobile, you will observe them playing with a variety of objects, sustaining attention for much longer. Watch how the baby is chasing a walker, focusing on and exploring a telephone, even a hole in the floor. At 13 months, the baby is focused on a shape sorter. Watch him becoming a little scientist as he decides it's quicker to put all the shapes in directly rather than through a complicated shape sorter. Babies can sustain attention on objects as well as people. They begin to enjoy familiar routines. Watch the baby sustain attention on something as simple as wiggling hands. As they grow older, babies begin to anticipate the back and forth, watching carefully. They will begin to participate and even initiate the routines. Watch the baby not only enjoy the routine but participate in the play by trying to engage with her mother. Baby's ability to sustain attention continues to develop. In fact, by 3 years, a baby can sustain attention on a single activity for at least 12 to 15 minutes. Sitting tolerance. Sitting tolerance is another important pre-learning skill. A baby who is constantly on the move will not pause long enough to explore his/her world, to understand what others are telling him to participate in various interactions that babies are a part of. Watch 6-month-old Fiona sitting with her noise-making toy, banging it, making the connections between her actions and the response from the toy. Nonverbal communication. Babies communicate a lot, even without speaking. They use expressions, gestures, pointing, and tone of voice to communicate. Babies begin to show a variety of expressions on their faces, letting caregivers know exactly how they feel. Watch the variety of expressions on babies' faces: happiness, sadness, frustration, delight, etc. During a feeding session, the variety of emotions that cross a baby's face lets the mother know that the baby is enjoying the food. The baby is communicating a lot, even if non-verbally. Watch Fiona let her mother know that she is curious about a biscuit her mother is eating, something she has never eaten before and wants to try. Babies use many gestures to communicate. Fiona tells Dad that she wants more water. Here you will see Fiona pursing her lips and pushing her mother's hand away to say she doesn't want any more food. Pointing is developing. The initial pointing is more to manipulate toys and objects a baby is interested in. By 7 months, pointing to communicate emerges. Fiona points to the lampshade. Fiona is pointing in response to show me a fan. Watch Ayush point and make a give me gesture to say he wants the powder his mother is holding. Dhiransh points to shapes on the shape sorter. A variety of gestures are developing. Fiona is waving her hands to say, I want the Superman game. Dhiransh is being prompted to say bye. Fiona is giving a high five. Dhiransh is pointing to his shoes, saying bye. Lakshita is showing a variety of gestures such as sleep and blowing a flying kiss. Verbal communication. At the same time that babies are developing gestures, they are also communicating through a variety of sounds and changes in the tone of their voice. At 6 months, babies begin to babble. Listen to her as she enjoys the sound of her own voice. By 9 months, some babies will say their first word. Ayush is saying mum mum. Responding to others' instructions improves with age. At 6 months, a baby may understand what is expected of her, but may not always comply. She is now pointing in response to the command, show me the fan. Lakshita is responding to blow a kiss and pointing to Tata. Dhiransh is responding to how old are you? Dhiransh complies with instructions to put the shapes in. Motor imitation is another important pre-learning skill. Fiona is trying a variety of tongue movements. Lakshita is responding to the father asking her to make a fish face. Fiona's mom is trying to make her say mama and papa. Lakshita's mom is telling her to say papa.
Ayush said mum at 9 months to say that I want food. But as you saw in the videos just now, at a much younger age, he could show you the gesture give to say, I want that powder puff, give it to me. You saw Fiona showing so many expressions of joy on her face to let her mother know that she was enjoying this feeding ritual that they both were engaged in. Babies are able to communicate an entire spectrum of feelings, desires and needs even before they can speak. But as parents and therapists, we are so focused on getting them to speak that we miss out on this non-verbal communication almost totally. A variety of pre-learning skills are developing in the first year of the baby's life. It is important to ensure that babies have a strong foundation in these skills before we start working on their speech and their academic skills such as alphabets and numbers. Only then can we ensure that our babies have a strong chance at getting mainstreamed successfully.
you.